Long LinkedIn page, I'm sorry. Tough crowd tonight. Holy cow. There you go. I like it. Give it up. Originally from Brazil through United States, England, and Italy, and back to the States, Edson will talk to us about his work titled Thinking as a Team, Development and Initial Validation of the Team Mental Model Instrument. Edson.
Thank you.
You see, you can do it.
Happy to be here, I guess. I gotta be honest, my dear friend Selenia told me, Edson, there is this science Islam, why don't you do it? I said, of course. I didn't know it would be in this, 12th century setting with Da Vinci and this big horse, but I'm happy to be here. So let's see if it's what thinking as a team, developing an initial validation of team mental models instrument just out of the oven. So I'm not going to give an overview of my research, just going to talk about this specific study. Yeah? Wonderful. So instead of thinking as a team, I wanted to think about a cannoli, an Italian proper cannoli. Yeah? And it comes from a place. When I first got here in Padova, I was hungry. This thing is falling. Okay. I was hungry, and then the first thing I had was a cannoli, and then, boom, inside for the presentation. So can you think about the cannoli, the ingredients, the texture, yeah? So lots of ingredients, right? Is it around the ear? Okay. My EEG cap is the biggest one, so maybe that's it. So lots of ingredients, holy cannoli. I want you to think about, when you think about a team, you have a lot of ingredients for a team to be successful as well, right? So that's the analogy. Perhaps you heard this analogy of, for you to bake a cake, you need many ingredients. So I want you to think about one ingredient that is essential for team performance. Is it, what's the most important in your opinion? Is it cohesion? Is it decision making? Is it team values? Is it collective efficacy? If you could pick one single ingredient that you say, look, that's the most important, that gives the flavor, which one would be? Leadership? So think about it. Once you're ready, I want you to share with your person next to you. Make sense? You follow me? So think about the ingredient. Let's say it's cohesion. Hey, Ana Maria thinks cohesion because of this, this, and that. And then you share. Make sense? Everybody, energy in the room. I want everybody sharing, having a conversation. 1 minute. What's the most ingredient factor for team performance? You too. Everybody, come on, embrace it, embrace it. Okay. Can I hear from 2 people? We need volunteers. Can some, yeah.
Relationship and care.
And why? Why you think it's the relationship?
Because people, if they want to cope with difficulties and conflicts, it all comes down to caring for each other and relationship, I believe.
Very good. One more? Emotional intelligence?
Motor intelligence.
Can you please explain your thinking, sharing?
I can give a talk.
Next time, maybe.
Just just knowing what to do knowing what you do with your body when you're faced with your teammates and the environment.
Very good, very good. So I think there are many ingredients that make a team successful. We know that from research. And for you to make a dream team, there is a lot of things going on, right? So some ingredients that we know from research, from a lot of you here, right? I met a lot of you. One is cohesion. It is come and stick together, right? The simple definition. Collective efficacy, we can do it and we will do it, right? That's another single ingredient. Coordination, that is to be at the right place at the right time. That's in sports, that's in the brain, that's in chemistry, across the board. But I wanted to study team mental models. That's knowledge of what to do, how to do it, procedural knowledge, why to do it, because you gotta get to the right decision for the right reason, when and where, right? We have instruments for all of that, and we didn't have one for team mental models measuring shared and complementary mental models. So that's the research. I want to develop a psychometric instrument to capture that. We can't capture, it's an abstract idea, but that's why we do psychometrics, right? So that's the study. It's published. I won't go into the details, but I give you 2 examples of items, right? So one of the items is we shared a collective understanding on how work needs to be accomplished, how to do, shared knowledge, and one is complementary. We complement and support each other's decisions. So one of the ingredients for team performance is shared knowledge and complementary knowledge. If you only have shared knowledge, you don't have enough skill set and diversity in your team to perform. And we know that from evolutionary psychology, the brain evolved to meet what we call the social needs, the social brain hypothesis. But we also know it from hyperbrain studies. That's from my reading, is the strongest evidence showing that when you're doing a task together, you activate in shared areas and also complementary areas. And they have studies of music, we've done with jugglers, with hand-to-hand acting. So the basis for the study comes from neuroevidence. So if you want to see all the items, download the paper. So what's the point, Edson? So cannoli, shared mental models, so what's the application, right? There are many implications from research in team dynamics, as you know. One is that ingredients matter. Recruiting matters, right? The team structure matter, and that's the one I want to emphasize. I cannot emphasize all, but I want to do it that we imagine you have all the money you need, and you can select one forward, Leo Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. By the way, I have the soccer bias. That's why I came to sports psych. So I said, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do soccer. And you can pick one midfielder. At their prime, which combination would you select? Ronaldinho and Messi, Ronaldinho and Cristiano, Modric and Messi, and Modric and Cristiano. All Ballon d'Or winners, but which players would you put together that you have the best shared and complementary skills? You can go to Slido, and let's see if you have a shared view. Make sense? Okay. If you can put the Slido, please. And that's the code, slido.com. We can send that to FIFA. Tell, look, that's what FEPSAC, a group of experts, decide. Let's see if you get to 100. Okay, we have enough data, I would say. So Ronaldinho and Messi, I need somebody to explain this choice. One voter that doesn't mind sharing. Yeah. They both play together. So having that playing together, they develop that knowledge.
They just both play together for Barcelona.
Okay. So that's one of the elements of the research, right? As you play together, you develop shared and complementary ideas. Anybody else wants to share? The winners, Ronaldinho and Messi? One more. Sharing is scary.
All together, please.
We can sit with silence.
Because they are both loved as icons. People love them and accept them.
Very good. So the individual personality, the individual skills also impact group dynamics, right? We know that eye psychology, self-efficacy impacts collective efficacy, and so on and so forth. But the broader point is, as you put your team together, you need to think about not only one single player, obviously, but also those hubs of knowledge, right? Sometimes two players, they aggregate, they generate more goals or do better defense than a combination of other players. So that's the idea. If I can go back to the slides. Hope you all like football, soccer like I do, because if you do, that's a big question. So what's some future research, right, for that? I think the most obvious implication is what is more important for team performance? Most of the research has been with shared knowledge. We need to be on the same page. But how about complementary knowledge? How about complementary skills, right? So the most obvious is which one predicts perform better. Just like if you look at classic cohesion, in classic research on cohesion, we have two meta-analyses at least out there showing that task cohesion is a better predictor of team performance. So which one would be more important for team performance? Can I get hands for shared mental models? Who thinks shared mental models is more important? Who thinks complementary mental models? Who got no idea or doesn't? That is good. We shall do the research. So, and I think, one message, I think it's interesting that we've been discussing in this conference, that's my highlight, by the way, that we need to try to integrate and also falsify our thinking. So, if you thought of shared mental models, try to think, what if it's complementary mental models, right? What if I'm wrong? Can I try to nullify my own thinking, my own hypothesis? So, fresh out of the oven, if you want to read it, there is more about the paper there. If you found the presentation boring, that is the best cannoli recipes I found on Google. So read the paper of the cannoli, and that's me if you want to get in touch. And I just want to salute the Dream Team that has been giving some support, is in the conference, and is also an inspiration for the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edson. Judges?
Hi, Edson.
Hi.
Yes, there is one question that came to my mind when you just finished your presentation, and that would be, how do we develop shared or complementary mental models?
I think that's, I think you have to find the shared values, right? What is it that we share? What are the shared goals, right? By definition, a team starts with shared goals, shared values, impact. What are some shared norms? So I think identifying those things that bring people together in terms not only in social relation aspects, that's cohesion, but in cognitive aspects, in behavioral aspects, right? What you call cognitive affective behavioral links. So what are the thoughts that impact how you feel, that impact how you behave? So I think identifying is a first step. And then I think you really have to think about what are the unique contributions that every individual brings in terms of complementarity, right? And I think that's developing these specific guidelines is a way forward. And I've done some related work that I call shared zones of optimal functioning, that I highlight some ideas on how you can track team momentum, right? So people are share in this optimal zone together, or you can identify who is the leader, who is the follower, right? So some ideas on that front.
Okay, thank you.
I might try something, because actually when I answered the question, it's because for me it was very difficult to choose someone who plays for Real Madrid. So it would be impossible for me to choose. So thinking about that, I was thinking those models that you're trying to develop, do you think they would be applicable to the whole world, or they would be cultural dependent?
I think for sure, we know that cultural psychology has an impact on different psychological factors, if not all. So I think it depends on the research question the person is asking. And that's a general example, right? I think that the bigger message is, what are some of the shared skills and knowledge and ideas that some people have, and what are the complementary? And I think that's based on psychophysiological research, right? We've done the psychophysiological research. We found this shared and complementary brain waves and neural patterns, and said, okay, we want to try to get this thing in the brain that we can't capture all the time into a paper work format. So hopefully that answer.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, committee, and thank you, Edson. Hands up for Edson.
Thank you.